Unterlaufen liefen blinde Mauser.
3 blind mice today on Secondhand Noobs. In the beginning, there were 3 blind mice. They didn't know they were a syzygy. S-Y-Z-Y-G-Y. Look it up. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, did you get that understanding? That's where we all start here. Okay, everybody, into the pool. And if you're a really chill person, you've already been through the Tao Te Ching. So I'm not going to go there. We're just going to flow right out of it into Dr. Erich Neumann and the origins and history of consciousness. And so there are 3 books that you have to read that would be considered esoteric. Those you'll have to find in my previous episodes. And this one, The Origins and History of Consciousness by Erich Neumann. It was the book that Carl Jung, Dr. Carl Jung, wished he had written. And Dr. Jung was part of a 20th century power trio, which included Freud and Adler. And you don't know about these guys. Well, the point is that if you do know about these guys, you have to find a way to tell the people who don't know about these guys what it really means to be in the flow. The all is mind. The universe is mental. You could go Buddha on this, you know. All is suffering. All is unsatisfactory. That's quite an evaluation. Something to consider here on Secondhand Noobs. So what we have to understand that the power trio of Freud, Adler, and Jung were blind mice. They had 0 training in the theories that they were developing, and it would take time. It would take effort, and it would take study to understand complexes and neuroses. We know they exist. Back in the day, it was metaphysics. So you have to transition your mind into a space where you allow a scientific method. Not that you have to lose your metaphysic, but you can understand it. You can't see it, but you can understand it. That is psychology. You start at 0, into the pool, you move to stage 1, which is consciousness, also known as the fool, and you got to watch your step, and you'll find that in the Bible, because the fool is the person who walks to the edge of the cliff, looks over, and says, I don't think I'm going to do that one today. And they take off through the crowd. And you know what that means when you start to take on the crowd. Here's a space where I think I might be able to riff out a little bit because it's a really unique and important time. It's that 0. Because if you really know your history, you know what they're talking about when they say 762. You know what they're talking about when they say 148. You see what I'm saying? That's how we know intelligent people know stuff. And that's what we try to go to, and that's what we try to grow into. That's why they're role models. And you've got to have your role models, right? You got to have your archetypes. And that's what I was talking about earlier in this podcast about 0 and 1. See, you have to make a decision internally. You have to individuate, according to Carl Jung, and understand that in this life, you're on your own. And that's what we're here to do, is to help you understand this to whatever degree I can help. It's called service to others. Service to self is also involved in this, and service to all. It's something to consider internally. Okay? It's not something you talk about to other people. This is your thing. This is what you do. And I remember in the 60s, they called it The Happening. Remember that song? Diana Ross? The Happening. Okay, I know. I can't sing. But that's not the point. It's the internal awareness, the consciousness that brings out the awareness of the fool. Now, you're not the fool at 0. Okay, you haven't moved. You haven't made a decision. Okay, that's a free will, chaotic choice. The way of confusion. I don't know. Which way am I going to go? Am I going to jump, or am I going to turn around, grab my tools, and get on back to work? And that's the decision we have to make, especially here in the Midwest, where I live. I mean, they call it the Rust Belt. They've been calling it the Rust Belt for 30 years, 40 years. Dude, I live in the Midwest. My favorite smell is manure, if you know what I mean. But that's the fool. I don't live on the farm, but I certainly appreciate what the farmers do. Okay, I respect that. But that world moves at a slower clip intellectually, because it's not like trying to drive into the city of Chicago at noon. It's not like driving into New York City during drive time. That's a chill place. Love it, enjoy it. But remember that the people that are doing the drive time, we have radio stations that program their radio stations to drive time, right? How new is that? That goes a long way back. So understand, we are programmed, but it's us that control the program. It's got to go with the flow. And one last note on the fool is once you recognize, like, the light bell, the moment, once you recognize that we're in this together, then you recognize it's just a matter of time until there is unity. And this unity is all that there is. And it's in the works.